Hello my fellow YouTubers, it's me, the Nerding, and today I'll be reviewing Power Rangers the movie 2017. Okay, so there's been a lot of build up to this film. The hype has really been phenomenal, or more phenomenal. Sorry. I mean, I've seen reviews, pictures, just so many references to old Power Ranger episodes. It's been exciting. I mean, Power Rangers is a great show. I mean, you have cool costumes, cool characters, cool swords, cool villains. It's just so cool. It's such a cool show. And now we get a new movie. And now we're gonna review it. So, after so much build up, has it been worth it? Well, let's look at it. This is the fourth film in Power Rangers altogether. First being Mighty Morphin the film, Turbo, Clash of the Red Rangers, and now this is number 4. So, and it starts off showing back in dinosaur time, a Red Ranger Zordon struggling from what looks like an attack. It's like a proper war zone. You have debris everywhere, ground shaking, and you see him struggling to get up. You see him go past his team's Yellow Ranger, saying he's sorry and taking the Morpher back. There we see that he has been betrayed. He's been betrayed by the Green Ranger, Rita Repulsa, who's trying to take control of the power known as Steel Crystal, something that keeps the planet. It's kind of an energy source that keeps the planet in order. According to her, she wants to use this power to take over the universe, and she even offered Zordon a part in the power. However, Zordon refused, and with one final attack, he beats her, and she loses her Green Ranger powers. However, she still keeps the power coin, but she can no longer morph into the Green Ranger. And I have to say, it was surprising the Green Ranger. I knew the main 5 Rangers were coming, but I wasn't expecting to see a Green Ranger suit. It was nice. The Green Ranger was awesome. He's an awesome character. There we see that Zordon is slowly dying, and he asks Alpha, his assistant, to find 5 people who Alpha finds deemable and worthy of having the 5 power coins. And then after that, Zordon dies. Later we're put back into present day, where we see Jason, a young footballer, messing around in the corridors with this kind of cow, an actual live cow. There the police find him, and after a failed runaway, he tries to run away in his car, which fails and ends in him getting his leg broken and kicked off the football team. He can never play football. Later, we're brought back into 3 weeks, where he's attending a Saturday high school detention. A very Breakfast Clubby. Yeah. That's good. You're going to feel a bit of a Breakfast Club vibe from these Power Rangers. There we see that his father and him have some issues. For example, his father's ticked at him for abandoning football, something that Jason was really good at, and from the looks of it, Jason was quite a football hero in this Angel Grove. A lot of people knew his name, a lot of people liked him, but apparently, I don't know how popular football is in America, but from the sounds of it, Jason was a good player, and that's why his dad was so ticked at him, I guess, that he just threw it all away over nothing. When Jason comes into his high school, we're introduced to Billy and Kimberly. Billy is a kid with autism. There we find out that he has problems. He has problems communicating with other people, and he's very selective with pencils, with a color scheme of his pencils. He's the awkward bunch of the kids, but to be fair, I think he's my favorite character. I'll explain later why I like him. We're also just introduced to Kimberly, who's an ex-cheerleader. There we see that her friends are cyberbullying her and have completely abandoned her all together. I mean, they even showed this by cutting her out of this group picture. There she gets frustrated and actually cuts off her hair. Not fully, but you know, just it was long hair, now it's short hair. Oh, it was just, I mean, we've all been like that in kids where we've just had enough of everything and we just did something silly. I'm not that different. I did something stupid when I was a kid. There, well, Billy is being picked on by a bully who isn't Skull. It might have been Skull. I mean, I know Skull's full name is Skullerfitch, but I don't know. I didn't hear it properly. Anyway, Jason beats and gets back at the bully, telling him to back off and just go back to detention. Billy is very thankful for Jason for helping him, and even offers him away something in return, like a deal. You see, Billy wants to go off to this canyon, this kind of building site where his father died. He wants to find something there. However, Jason doesn't want to do it because, again, it's dangerous. However, Billy offers to make him a deal. You see, Jason is under house arrest. He's got this kind of tracker on him. Billy offers to take it off him, like in return for helping him with his project in the canyon. There, Jason accepts, and they both go to the canyon where they meet, where Billy's trying to put together this kind of dynamite equipment. Jason, thinking this is getting a bit out of hand, thanks Billy for helping him get off the house arrest device, and just decides to go home. But as he goes home, he meets Kimberly, who does this kind of, I think it's kind of a gymnastic swim dive. After he meets her, they have a bit of a heart-to-heart, admitting that they stopped liking Angel Grove for just how easily the people just turned on them for their failures. And even said, hey, let's just go somewhere else. But before they could continue with their conversation, they find out that Billy has succeeded in blowing up the wall. After that, we're introduced to our two other characters, Zack and Trini. At first, Zack acts like a cocky kid, you know, like he's just like a Deadpool kind of character. He's willing to do anything crazy. And Trini, she's just a silent girl altogether. She doesn't really communicate that much at first. There we find the 5 power coins. When they dig them out, they dig them out and find that the colors are red, blue, yellow, black, and pink. Each of the kids take one, wondering what they are. In this version, the power coins aren't, well, they don't look like power coins. They're not gold or have the dinosaur implanted on them. They're actually gems. But either way, it's cool to see them. And they have this kind of walk cover acting as the original Mighty Morphin Morpher the handle. So it does have the original Mighty Morphin appearance, just a bit remixed. But before the kids could do anything, the police find them and they have to drive away to escape the police. They get far enough, but as they get closer to freedom, they are crushed by a train, and things are going out of control. Glass breaks. You get an idea. It does sound painful, but then all of a sudden they wake up in their rooms. Nothing bad has happened. Their bodies aren't. Yes, their clothes are torn apart, but they themselves are not injured. Even Jason's leg that was busted has healed completely. From the looks of it, I think he was expecting his leg to never work again, but now, yeah, it does. It works fine. Later, they all find out that they've actually gained some super strength. Since when Billy was trying to open his kind of a fridge or something, the door came off, like uncontrollably came off. When Jason was washing his face, he got sick I think, and he banged the counter, and when Kimberly got another bad text from her ex-friend, she just broke the phone, actually crushed it easily. We see that the kids are starting to figure out that they have, well, superpowers. and it's quite handy. They all realize that in order to make any sense of the powers, they need to go back to the canyon to understand more about them. As they do that, Jason's dad, who in this world is actually a fisherman, accidentally discovers Rita's body. At first, she's just a mangled up corpse, but later she slowly gets more powerful. It turns out eating gold regenerates her body. I don't know if that's what the original Rita did, or if this movie's version of Rita's alien species just allows her to regenerate her body from gold. But either way, it's cool. And boy, this Rita is scary. She is absolutely terrifying. And just her addiction to gold. I mean, her staff has like these gold teeth on it, these kind of gold necklaces. It's just proper creepy. Later, the kids are reunite. Billy, Kimberly, and Jason go back to the canyon where they found the power coin. There they meet Zack, who also is interested in it, saying if he could get any more to sell. But they also see Trini, who's there, but due to her shyness or something, she just runs away. I mean, she actually climbs on a wall like Spider-Man. Oh, it's so cool. And the kids follow her, and there's this cool scene where they high jump, like proper running and high jumping. It's so cool. But when four of them come to the other end of the cliff, Billy, who attempts to high jump, doesn't make it and falls down. And when he does fall down, we find out that he has survived. The other kids go into the gorge and find this kind of secret lake. Underneath this lake is a spaceship, which is where inside it is Alpha. I do like this version of Alpha. I mean, I know that the design at first may have seemed a bit weird, but after a few minutes watching it, I got into it. I like the voice actor. I like that he was actually got combat strength. He was a cool character. Later, we found out that Alpha activates Zordon, where he's actually pixely and he's played by one of my favorite actors. I mean, I remember seeing this actor in Malcolm in the Middle. I loved him as hell, and I'm very glad he's playing Zordon. There we found out that Alpha had stored Zordon's memory in this matrix. There Zordon is now resulting in Zordon being this kind of face on the wall, this pixeled face. Zordon warns the Rangers that Rita has also woken up from the power find. There he says it's up to the Rangers to be new Power Rangers. Now they're to be the new Power Rangers. At first the Rangers are a bit scared of it, and they don't want to become Power Rangers at first. However, after they leave, Zordon has a bit of a heart-to-heart with Jason, saying that, you know, they're your team, man. It's really up to you. If you want to be a Power Ranger, it's up to you. And at first, Zordon seems like a nice guy, telling them they have a choice in the matter. Later, the kids leave, and Jason tells him that they have been given a great gift, and they need to figure out what to do with it. So they said, let's come back here to meet Zordon and figure out what these powers are. Later, they do come back, and before they do, we learn some more stuff about Zack and Trini. For starters, despite all his wisecracks, Zack actually has an ill mom who's very sickly, she's bedridden. There we see that he looks after her, and you can see she actually wants him to go to school, but from the looks of it, he's skipping school, so it looks like their relationship's a bit strange, and he does try to help her with her medication, try to make her feel better. But you can see that his life isn't exactly all fun and pleasures as he makes it out to be. We see Trini, whose parents are a bit argumentative of each other. They don't seem to get along, and apparently according to Trini, her parents are just too normal, that they try to control her life too much. I mean, apparently she's been in 3 schools in 3 years, in her words. Apparently she's had a number of bad relationships, and the parents are too controlling of her. Because of that, she just felt a bit of an outcast. And that's what I like about this film. these 4 kids are outcasts. 5 kids are outcasts. They come from different worlds. I mean, you have Jason the jock, Billy the nerd, Kimberly the cheerleader, Trini the kind of goth girl, and Zack the crazy dude. But inside, in reality, they all have something in common, and it's this factor that plays into Power Rangers, especially their morphing. So later they come to meet Zordon, who's glad that they took the offer for them to become Power Rangers. And he decides that it's time for them to have their first morph. So they go into this kind of panel where there's this light shining around them. But, however, for some reason the morphing grids won't react to them. So Zordon, obviously annoyed that they're not morphing, tells them they need to find some other ways for them to become prepared for Rita. So they decide to go some other places into the cave, and they decide to practice with some holograms and each other to fight Rita. And we get to see the putties as the holograms, and I have to say, I really do like the putties. They're very good characters. Very good characters. Like, I mean, I know in the original the putties were cool, but these guys, whoa, the CGI. These guys were half ground. They were ground, which were made into monsters, and that was cool. I mean, you could even see some stop signs on them. Oh, they were creepy. They were properly messed up monsters. Then we are, after some training with each other, and they're introduced to the swords. I have to say, I like the swords. I mean, they have this kind of cool beetle-like look with some additional legs, but other than that, they look pretty cool. They're spiffy, they're nice, they're awesome. I can't wait for them to play these bad boys out. Zack, however, Alpha tells them that they can only use the swords when they've achieved the ability to morph. However, Zack decides to go the hell away and plays with the swords. And he almost kills a bunch of nuts. I mean, luckily the nuts didn't see it, but Jesus! Oh my god, they could have killed them! Oh, luckily they get him back, but still, Jason is pissed at him for, well, being an idiot and almost killing them. There we see Jason and Zack have a bit of a fight, but Billy stops them. But as he stops them, he morphs. He actually morphs properly into the Blue Ranger. The kids are like amazed by it, because they've been trying to do this for weeks, and their training has been fun. I mean, there's this cool scene where Kimberly and Trini are in this kind of a coffee stand, and they have this kind of cool cake fight. It's cool what they do with their hands. It's awesome. However, when Zack taps Billy, for some reason the whole suit just disintegrates and disappears. They are going to ask Zordon about how to activate it, but Zordon just tells them to get out, that they're not worthy of being Power Rangers. Jason, obviously a bit infuriated with Zordon, asks why, but we'll later reveal that the only way for Zordon to actually get back his body is for them to unlock their morphers. This is when Jason feels a bit used, that thinking that Zordon only wanted their power, them to become Power Rangers, was just so he could become a human being again. Well, not a human being, but he gets a body. There he just leaves. After that, the Rangers are trying to figure out how to morph again. And they get to have a bit of a more heart-to-heart with each other. We find out why Kimberly was in detention. It turns out she herself was actually a cyberbully. That she treated a naked picture of a friend, of a girlfriend of some boyfriend. There, the girlfriend was completely embarrassed, and the boyfriend just said to Kimberly, "You're not a nice person," and she just slap punched him. Because of that, she herself said she thought she was a bad person for doing it. That we found out that, when we first hear about this guy, we think she was an ex who attacked Kimberly, but in fact, it was really the guy who was the victim here. And we found out But it was good that she let it out, and we found out these kids actually have some things in common. That we find out Trini feels a bit. Kimberly has guilt from being a cyber bully. Zach is looking after his sick mum. Trini feels a bit of an outcast to her parents, and Jason, um, um, Billy is trying to overcome the grief of his father and trying to make new friends. And from the sounds of it, the only person he ever really communicated with was his dad. I could relate to that since I do have friends, but when I was young, I wasn't really good at communicating with people. So I guess another reason why I like Billy. Jason, like I said, got his legs broken and was kicked out of football. But soon later they go back home. But Trini is attacked by Rita. Rita tells them that she will be waiting them at the docks. So then the Rangers decide to go to the docks and fight her. Unfortunately, they all fail because they can't tap into their Ranger power. Rita then demands to know where the Seal Crystal is, since it turns out Billy does know where the Seal Crystal is after doing some researching. She is about to kill Zach, but Billy tells her where the crystal is. Satisfied with that answer, she kills Billy just to make sure she's not stopped later. Luckily, the Rangers are able to save Billy, but unfortunately, Billy's absorbed too much water into his lungs that he died. The only place the Rangers could think about to help them was Sordon. They go back to the command ship or center. I mean, it is technically a command center, but the way it's styled, I felt it was more of a command ship. There the Rangers admitted that they did like Billy and they did think of him as a good friend, and that's when their morphing grid starts to activate since they're thinking about each other. However, Alpha tells Sordon, now's your chance to get a new body. However, Sordon doesn't take it and decides to give his regenerating body to Billy, where Billy is able to cough out the water from his lungs, with coming back to life. And this was really a big deal for Sordon because this was his chance to get back another body, a new physical body. But he decided to give it to Billy. It shows that Sordon does care about the Rangers. Later, after realizing they do care about each other, the Rangers have their first morph. And boy, is it cool. It's so cool seeing them morph. The suits look cool. I like how they move in them. I like this gravity the suits give. Like anytime they jump, anytime they punch a villain, it's so cool. I guess my only issue is with the new suits is the helmets. They do look cool, don't get me wrong. It's just that in Mighty Morphin, the helmets were heavily animal themed. I mean, don't get me. There have been teams where we've had Rangers with the same helmets, like Alien Aquatar Rangers, Space Rangers, SPD Rangers, Operation Overdrive Rangers. There have been Ranger helmets that look the same, but it's because well, in the original Mighty Morphin, you could tell Jason's helmet was a Tyrannosaurus Rex, was a Tyrannosaurus. Zach's helmet was a Mastodon, and Trini's helmet was a saber-toothed tiger. You could tell what their helmets were from the animals. But despite that, I did like the new suits. They were awesome. I like how they took down the putties in their first real fight. It was great. And then we get to the sword action, and we got this little clips of the Power Rangers theme song. Go go Power Rangers! Da da! And it was the movie version. It was awesome. But meanwhile, Rita, on the other hand, has actually resummoned Goldar. There she orders Goldar. In this version, Goldar is actually this liquid gold monster that can absorb things. She sends Goldar to get the Seal Crystal since he's the only thing strong enough to get the crystal out. The Rangers go in their swords to try to stop the putties, an army of putties coming, since the putties are trying to killing people, attacking everything. However, through all this chaos, we actually did get a little bit of a reference to Dino Thunder and Ninja Storm. since Jason's dad said, I've been looking for you in Marina Bay and Reefside. That was the hometowns of Ninja Storm and Dino Thunder. However, I haven't seen Ninja Storm in a while, so it may not have been Marina Bay. But still, it shows that these guys know about Power Rangers. That was cool. It was cool hearing that the people who worked on the film knew about Power Rangers. They weren't just adapting it from the original. They actually knew a history of Power Rangers. However, after some major sword action, it was cool. These new swords kind of work. And they had bullets, they had blasters, and even if they don't become a Mega Sword, these swords could work together just by going in twos. And we had this cool scene where Jason asks his dad to trust him, even though he's small. There was a powerful scene where Jason's dad and his Red Ranger still just held hands together. It was a nice scene. There, next we see the Rangers decide to go after Goldar, who has found the Steel Crystal. The Rangers decide to put one final front up against Rita and Goldar, and they do try to put their best up, but Goldar's too powerful for the swords, and he sends them underground. And there's a bit of heart-to-heart from the Rangers, and this is even a nice scene where Billy tells the Rangers, "Thank you for being my friends." That was just so lovely, showing how much these kids have learned from one another. Then finally, as the swords are being pushed down under into pretty much the core of the earth, they have their Megazord transformation, and it looks awesome. I like the pterodactyl wings on the back. I like that it has this kind of a nice look about it, since the swords kind of had this it had like this armor on it, this kind of silky grey armor. It had a nice look, and I loved it. It was a cool sword, Megazord, and I do like the original Mighty Morphin Megazord, but I'm glad that this movie did their own version of the Megazord, showing that even though they're adapting it from Mighty Morphin, they're still trying to make it their own thing. Rita then merges with Goldar, and the Rangers have their first Megazord fight. At first, it takes them a bit of time to learn the controls, like who controls the legs, who controls the arms, but later they all take down the Megazord, Goldar, and they have their first Megazord fight. Rita then comes out of Goldar and threatens the Rangers, saying that, "You think you've won just by beating me? There are other threats out there." She is right. There's Zed, Dog Spectre, the Machine Empire, a lot of bad guys out there. However, the Rangers are not intimidated by her and tell her, "Go ahead, we're ready for them." And after that, they just flunk Rita into space with a mixer, like properly flunk her out, and it was cool. However, I don't know if Rita is dead. Granted, she did freeze and she probably died from oxygen loss, but still, she has survived a million years in the water. There's a chance she could come back. Either way, it was cool. And the next thing was lovely, because we got cameos from Jason David Frank and Amy Jo Johnson. Yes! Yes! The Rangers from the original Mighty Morphin made a cameo. It was fantastic. And they didn't have any lines, but still, just seeing them there was wonderful. The original Green White Ranger and the original Pink Ranger. Awesome! Absolutely awesome! Oh, it was fantastic seeing those two. Later, then we go to the end credits, where we see that the Rangers are becoming friends, and they're going to probably fight whatever evil comes their way. And there's this nice sketch they did of the famous Power Ranger lightning you see in the titles. It was cool. It was a good way to end the film. So, what did I think about this film? I loved it. I know it's different. I know it was going with darker tones, and the characters were different from the original counterparts, but the creators did it in the correct way. I like these characters. I like how they bonded. I liked how at first they didn't start out liking each other, but over time they learned that they really did have a good relationship. I like how the team was made. I did like Rita Repulsa. She was a fantastic remake. I loved Sword and Alpha. They were great characters. I really did enjoy this film. if you don't like Power Rangers at all, then you're not going to like this film. However, if you're not a fan of it, I still would recommend this film for you, since it might be a good way to start getting into the whole franchise. But if you do like Power Rangers and are a massive fan of it, it's really up to you what you make of it, because I can't speak for everyone. It's really what you think about it. So I give this film a 5 stars, and and it said that they're gonna have 5 sequels of it. I mean, 5 sequels. There's so much possibility with that 5 sequels. Like, are they gonna adapt more teams? Are they going to adapt more of the Power Ranger stories, like Green Ranger, White Ranger, Ninja Swords, Front Swords, Lord Zed? Oh, so much potential. Either way, I love this film. It was worth the wait, and I want to thank you, Saban, and Saban for making this film. May the power protect you, everyone, and I hope you have a more phenomenal day.